Hey guys, welcome back to AI Insights Innovation, the one place where you can understand the true application of AI technology for the enterprise. I'm your host, David Linthicum, internationally known AI expert and analyst with theCUBE Research. Let's get to work. So we're going to continue our journey today on AI private clouds. We've been talking about this a lot, and I think it's an important topic. I think as people are trying to, figure out how to get these massive workloads that take a tremendous amount of power and money or to run these things, more often than not, private clouds are coming back as a viable and value-oriented option. And so I'm seeing this with my client base, and I'm seeing this within the market in general. So this is exciting stuff. And we're here today to talk about another AI private cloud. So we have Tasha Drew, Director of Engineering and AI and Advanced Services in the VCF division at Broadcom. How you doing, Tasha?
Great, happy to be here.
So tell us a bit about what you do at Broadcom and how you got involved with AI and what got you involved with the AI private cloud.
Oh, that's a great question. I report to Chris Wolf, who's the global head of AI in VCF. And Chris Wolf's organization is the AI and Advanced Services Group. We are working to add features and capabilities into the AI-ready private cloud capabilities in VCF. So VCF has a product called VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA. And so really working closely across a number of groups in VCF division to make enabling AI, turning on your GPUs, managing access to those, basically being able to really create GPUs as a service within your private cloud, and then other features and capabilities around how you can easily run AI workloads on that infrastructure across the stack.
So let's talk a bit about the market. What does the market landscape look at right now for private AI clouds, and how do you think it's evolving and has evolved to now, and how it's evolving moving forward? So it's such a loaded question, but I think it's interesting.
Totally. Yeah, I think that is a great question. So VMware first announced Private AI Foundation at VMware Explorer in 2023. And we certainly didn't invent the idea of private AI, but I think we helped popularize it and really bring it front and foremost to everyone's minds. Because after that announcement, we basically saw this huge well of interest and also other public clouds and private cloud offerings starting to kind of storm in and say, oh, yes, like private AI architecture is very pragmatic. It meets a lot of customer and market needs. And so you can kind of see people really coming to the conclusion that while AI in the cloud is awesome, there are a lot of workloads that may not belong in the public cloud for a number of different reasons. We kind of have three buckets that we put kind of reasons that folks are very interested in private AI into. So we have this concept of private data. So a lot of organizations have data that's extremely private to them. It may be regulated data. It may be data that's extremely sensitive for a number of different reasons. And that data needs to stay on-prem within the private data center. But folks would like to have the benefit of different AI capabilities. They'd like to be able to use that data to power different AI workflows. And so how can you get that data into an AI workflow without potentially exposing it by needing to move it or consolidate it in a different location? Another big driver is private IP. So there's certain cases for AI where IP really isn't a concern, right? Like I want to make images for a marketing campaign. I want to generate text for documentation of an already publicly released product. And those cases are great obvious use cases that could fit very well into a cloud model with less privacy guarantees. However, there are other cases where you have IP that's intrinsic to the value of your organization, something that you really need to protect, and that potentially exposing it to a public service could really endanger your business. And so that kind of idea of how do we protect truly sensitive IP with a private AI model is something that really resonates with different folks. So finally, we have private access. And so when we talk about private access, what we're thinking about is with AI models, the model itself is as sensitive as the data that it has been trained on. So even when you take an off-the-shelf model that may be publicly shared in different locations, if you then fine-tune that against sensitive data, proprietary data, data that really needs to be protected, after that, you need to treat your new model with the same sensitivities as you would the original data itself. And that artifact needs to be protected with strong role-based access control and other mechanisms.
So one of the things I've been writing and speaking about recently is that the cloud market seems to be changing. In other words, it's still growing by leaps and bounds, and AI is going to be a prime catalyst in making that happen. But the portion and the anticipated portion that was going to the public cloud providers seems to be shrinking. So AWS, Microsoft, and Google had disappointing quarters. They didn't necessarily meet the street's expectations. I'm not sure if that's going to be a trend or not. So why do you think enterprises are moving away from public cloud solutions and opting for private AI solutions right now?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Some of the data I've seen is that IT expenditures on cloud have gone up 30% over the past year, and the biggest driver of that is AI. I think looking at why folks are choosing private AI versus public AI, I think they're choosing a mixture of both right now, depending on their business use cases. As with any workload, when you have a net new workload, what we see a lot is net new AI when you're sandboxing and testing things out often goes automatically to the cloud because it's easy to get GPUs and then it's easy to test drive different new services. But then as different enterprises are sort of starting to mature those AI workloads, they're looking at repatriation, both so they can expose these new capabilities that they're developing against more sensitive proprietary data on-prem and kind of have like more control over that, but also just kind of the normal trade-off of repatriating workloads to have more predictable costs on-prem.
So let's kind of move to the VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA. So what is this product? How does it fit within the broader landscape of the market that we just defined? And what's kind of like the elevator pitch and the detailed pitch around what this particular technology is?
Yeah, absolutely. So VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA is focused on enabling your infrastructure team to be able to meet the new demands of serving AI workloads within their private cloud. So the entire focus of the platform is to make it really easy for you to come in and say, here's my workload domain. This is going to be my AI workload domain. I apply a license. I go through an easy, straightforward enablement process to say what services I want available to my users. It includes operationalizing a lot of the NVIDIA stack, so making it easy for you to spin up NIMs, NeMo Retriever, different NVIDIA blueprints within your private cloud, keeping those stacks up to date and available via self-service within VCF automation. VCF is also providing the different capabilities that folks need as they start on their AI journey. So one of the things folks need is model governance. We have a model gallery and a way for you and nice workflows for you to be able to bring in, validate, and test the security and the behavior of different models, and then share them with different folks based on team-based access, or even having just models that anyone can, the models that you would want to make available to your entire company if they need a model. So those nice model governance workflows are baked in. We also have the data services platform. And so with the Private AI Foundation, we're including full enterprise support for vector database via that platform. Those vector DBs are necessary for when you start vectorizing your data and then needing somewhere to store it so that you can do RAG applications and other use cases. And then just kind of automated workflows, self-service workflows for your different personas to come in and be able to via self-service spin up AI workstations, AI-ready Kubernetes clusters, and different sort of infrastructure mechanisms that different teams might need. Finally, we have also productized a lot of GPU monitoring and visibility. GPUs are expensive. You want to make sure that you're getting your best ROI on the workloads that you're putting on GPUs. You don't want them underutilized. You also don't want them burning too hot when they're overutilized. So just giving you full visibility on the performance of your GPUs so you can maximize them appropriately.
So what's unique about this product? What's the unique value proposition that you define to the business of VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA, and what's kind of different from the other products in the market? What makes it better? Who's it for?
Yeah, so I think that really where we're carving a space out for ourselves is what we call AI-ready private cloud. So VCF is already widely deployed in enterprises everywhere, and they don't need to go and learn a brand new stack to start being able to monitor and provide GPU clusters as a service with various AI stacks on top of it. So just make it easy, stick with the technology stack that you already have a fully trained IT team that's ready to support and scale, and also make it so that as your business starts to grow and scale your AI infrastructure within your private cloud, that is just completely something that you can do at the click of a button. Very easy to enable, scale, and use.
Yeah, it's funny. I always describe the reason we want to leverage AI private clouds is really kind of getting to the easy button of AI. If you look at building these AI systems, and I'm an AI architect by trade, they're incredibly complex things to configure. And so people will move to the public cloud providers because they do kind of have an easy button for AI. They have the complete ecosystem that's available on demand, and you're able to turn it all on and get the training systems up and running, the inference engines, the model maintenance things. Everything's kind of there and ready to go. Now you're using all their native services. So the AI private clouds kind of replicated that on premise, your ability to, in essence, get at the value proposition of ease and simplicity. And at the end of the day, you're also getting the value of owned hardware, which is normally going to be less expensive than some of the public cloud alternatives. Always mileage may vary, but that's generally speaking, I think that's going to be the case. Is that the way that Broadcom is defining the market right now? And is that the way you're looking at the particular value proposition of this technology?
Yeah, I would say that that's spot on. I think that the other thing that I look at is something I call GPU hoarding, which is basically, especially like in private clouds, it's our enterprise customers have to wait a long time to get the GPUs that they ordered. So you see a lot of teams who are getting their GPUs and then kind of hiding them from everybody else because they had to wait a long time for these. They were expensive, right? Like their boss isn't going to let them order anymore, so they're not going to really share them with other teams. And so that kind of then ties into this like really interesting trend we're seeing from a utilization perspective, which is GPU underutilization, right? So kind of across the board, you can kind of see that GPUs are expensive, they're hard to get, and now we're not using them to their full potential because we're afraid of losing them to another team, and we're afraid of how hard they are to get back. And so I think that that kind of turns into like the perfect use case for the VCF platform where it's like, okay, teams, opt your GPUs into management by VCF platform. You are going to get top priority to these workloads, but then you can allow other teams to use them when you're not using them. Now the business is getting a much stronger ROI on the infrastructure investment, and you're going to be able to solve more problems with the GPUs than you otherwise would have.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing, right? And there is GPU hoarding. I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, you think of the guys like on the street corner, selling GPUs out of his car or something like that. But it's not much below that in terms of how enterprises are leveraging this stuff, and it's still going on today. So speaking of GPUs, you guys have a partnership with NVIDIA, and that's been going on for quite some time, and you guys are coordinating on the capabilities of the platform. They're providing the technology, and you're building a platform around it. So, what does each company bring to the table?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. So, part of what I was mentioning earlier is this idea that operationalizing, delivering the NVIDIA NVIe stack on-prem is kind of part of the overall solution. And so we have really nice ways for us to maintain a full integrated stack for customers to then, via self-service, be able to spin up NIMs. For your data science team to be able to say, just give me a TKG cluster with the vGPU installed, connect to the GPUs that I am entitled to as part of my quota. Just operationalizing that entire software stack, maintaining it, all of the updates, removes a huge kind of friction factor for folks being able to consume and keep all of their internal stacks up to date. Another feature that we've included is the deep learning VM. Basically, from talking to data science teams at our customers, what we found is they have a pretty straightforward time getting their initial Jupyter Notebook Lab environment set up, right? Like they install all of the Python dependencies, all the packages they want, they connect to the GPU, they're off to the races. But then all of the various dependency trees are getting bumped. So like this software package gets updated. Okay, gotta update that one. Suddenly this one's broken because the dependencies aren't mapping anymore. And so it's very easy to then get in a broken state. With the deep learning VM, what we're doing is we're just maintaining that entire stack. Your users come into VCF automation and then they can just say, give me an AI workstation. We boot up the VM. It has all of the drivers installed. It's connecting to the GPU you wanted. It has all the software installed. And then you can just go to town. So a lot of this is just kind of managing the software complexity of all of the AI infrastructure pieces, which, to your point, is what folks expect from a public cloud experience. And now that's operationalizing and maintaining it with across both the NVIDIA stack and the VCF stack within the private AI solution.
So one of the things that I went through when I was, building private clouds back in the early days, 10 years ago, was that when I put them together, they were kind of like engineering projects to
Yeah.
get them up and running, open source stuff and things like that. A lot of the stuff was fairly new out the door. So how does VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA address, how do people deploy the system? What does the process look like? How do I install it? Getting up and running, and what's the typical installation process that your clients are going through right now, your customers are going through right now?
Yeah, so the basically we have workload domains which map to a vCenter, and so what our enablement process looks like is you have the Private AI Foundation add-on license. You apply that to the workload domain, and then it enables the AI features, basically. We then have a quick start that takes you through any steps that you need to do to configure the various capabilities to say, like, these are the kind of GPUs I have. I want to provide my users PyTorch, or, kind of just like what do you want when VCF automation turns on as a internal cloud provider or as a cloud service provider. What should this tenant be able to see to self-provision, and then you're off to the races. We have spent a lot of time making this as easy and sort of pain-free as possible to just turn on and go, and that is our goal for the entire solution. Additionally, with the data services platform, you'll have a similar experience being able to turn on your vector DBs and start using those. And we also have spent a lot of time investing in that platform, from just a DBA management experience and sort of day two operations experience.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot better than some of the pain that I went through many years ago and doing some engineering stuff. And it is when I was looking at the AI private clouds and private clouds in general, they're just kind of much more easier to work with, and you do remove a lot of latency. I think people were dealing with just a few years ago, so that's good news. So, how does VMware address key concerns like data privacy? I know it's a private cloud instance, so we can stare at our servers and actually see where our data is going to be stored. But what are the mechanisms you have in place to protect it, and how do people typically protect their data in an AI deployment?
Yeah, that's a great question. So basically, we have a number of different services that you can choose how you want to, the level of sharing that you want between them, right? And so today, when we look at something like a vector database where my data is stored, that doesn't have RBAC baked into the database in the way that you might anticipate a normal relational database would have, right? Like today, having like really strong role-based access control at the various layers within the vector DB, like that's in research land. And so you really have to think about the architecture of your AI application up front and think about who's going to have what data when you're designing your infrastructure. Within VCF, we have what we call a VCF namespace, which is kind of our unit of tenancy or separation within the platform. And so within the VCF namespace, you have a VPC, and then you have all of the infrastructure level services that you're deploying there. So when you give someone access to the namespace for read or write access, they can see all of the objects within the namespace. So basically, what our proposal would be is if you have something that's sensitive, like say I'm building a legal application that's going to have contract documents in it for my legal team to be able to easily ask questions of old contracts, only the legal team should have access to that namespace. And when those contracts are loaded into the vector DB, that vector DB should really be used just for that purpose. It shouldn't be like then also be serving applications that have maybe some documents that are like totally vanilla that everyone in the company is hitting, right? So really kind of think about this as like, here's my VPC. This should be kind of considered my unit of tenancy and as a security boundary, and then I can have a namespace per application, if and then certainly a namespace per sensitivity of the data within the namespace. So that's kind of how I would approach it initially. Longer term, we know folks are probably going to want databases that they can just scale out to have many different documents of many different sensitivities. But right now, that's just not where vector DBs are.
Broken down one myth after the other. Well, the final myth kind of to go through is that people will tell me, well, private clouds can't scale and they're just not as flexible as the public cloud environments. So, how does your product support enterprises as they scale workloads, AI models? That's got to be a core concern that you have to address when you're talking to people about this technology.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Some of the features that we are putting out there in our next major release, which is coming up, start to address a lot of what folks are looking for when it comes to kind of models as a service, right? Like a lot of data science teams, part of their service to the rest of the company is they just run the model, and especially when you start to see like really nice, compelling new models coming in that everyone wants to like test out and try, if you can just run that between an AI API gateway so folks can connect to it, and then you can horizontally scale those models in the back end, those are workflows and platform capabilities that we're actively adding to the platform.
That scalability stuff that keeps coming up, and I tell them that it's not much different than the public cloud providers, in that we're still dealing with platform instances that have a certain amount of resources, and the management of those instances is what's important. So I think people are getting that now, and I think they're deploying private clouds that are able to scale, such as your technology. So finally, what's next for VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA? Any exciting features or advancements that are coming down the line that users can look forward to? What can you reveal to us today on this podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're all really excited for the major release that we're currently stitching up right now. So I think everyone who is a VCF customer is kind of knows that 9.0 is coming, and with that, the VMware Private AI Foundation is coming out with a host of different features and capabilities, both across the NVIDIA capabilities, adding additional support for their new GPU stacks, and then also adding additional ability to do the AI API gateway that I mentioned, having a fully featured model runtime with uh, different supported engines, inference engines, and then we're also having support for an embedding engine that you can use. We're adding a new data feature, which is the data indexing and retrieval service to help our customers basically have data pipelines where they can say these are the sources of the documents that I want embedded and then stored in the vector database, and we can crawl those, run them against the embedding engine, vectorize the data, and store the data in the vector DB on a regular update cadence defined by the customer. So full support for several different data sources for that. Basically just looking at how do we start to make it easier for customers to take advantage and build different agentic workflows. And then finally, we're also adding an agent builder capability. And so what that is doing is saying, okay, so you have created knowledge bases in your vector DB, you have these models running, and then you give your development team access to the services and data sources that they should have. Within Agent Builder, they can, via the API or UI, simply say, okay, this is the model I want to use. These are the knowledge bases I want. Here's some prompting for the agent that I want to build. You are a friendly and professional AI assistant who, is going to do A, B, and C. You can compose all of that together. We have a little playground where you can kind of test out your prompts and see if you want to change anything or swap out the model. And then when you're happy with it, we compose that, and now you have an agent that you can use as the backend for your AI powered application. So everything that we're doing is just looking at making it easier for folks to build powerful AI workflows within their private cloud, all obviously powered by their NVIDIA GPUs and then VCF managed infrastructure.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to get a briefing on that technology when it's available, and it is going to be a larger thing in 2025 and 2026 as people are rushing into the AI space. Pretty much all the enterprises are working with are, and your ability to do that in some sort of a value driven way. I think we're realizing that throwing everything up on a public cloud provider, not necessarily an option when you consider some of the costs and also some of these workloads that we're moving forward with around AI, include agentic-based systems. They're going to run better in a private cloud space. We already have the hardware in place, the talents in place, the resources that are there, and I think for many enterprises, this is going to be a better option. Doesn't mean that you're discounting other platforms, but this, at the end of the day, if you're looking at the optimization of it, your ability to return value back to the business for for by deploying this technology, I think this is absolutely where the investment's going to occur. So where can the listeners go find out more information about your product?
Yeah, definitely invite you to come to our VCF website. And we also have a blog and white papers talking all about our reference architectures, our features, our different capabilities. We had a lot of material around the 5.2.1 release that's very relevant to everything we talked about today, especially the model gallery and model governance piece, which all shipped in our 5.2.1 release. And then going forward, you're going to start to see a lot of content for our next release that's coming out as well. But yeah, super exciting times. Really looking forward to seeing everyone start to dig in on this offering and give us feedback and help us know where we should take it next.
Yeah, and I'll drop links in the description below if you guys want to check that out. This was a great discussion, Tasha. I really enjoyed learning about the product. I think it's extremely important as people are trying to get a handle on how to leverage AI and do it with a way that's going to accelerate the value that's coming back to the business. If AI is truly going to be a force multiplier for innovation within most of these organizations, and I think that's clearly where the direction is going right now. You got to be able to get this right, and you got to be able to find platforms where this stuff is going to thrive, and you have the ability to grow it into the future. And so, that's what I see with this technology and this space in general. So, hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out our other assets here at theCUBE Research, and drop me a line if you want to reach out to me directly. Other than that, everybody have a good week. Take care. Bye.